corporations are already bending over backwards to gain favor with President-elect Donald Trump. And that's according to a recent report by the Wall Street Journal. So look, whenever someone gets elected, obviously you've got lobbyists and moneyed interests doing what they do best, showing up to Washington, D.C., lobbying real hard to ensure that, the president will look out for them. But with Donald Trump, you've got a guy who's like slanging all sorts of things, right? You got Bibles, you've got Mar-a-Lago membership, you've got gold sneakers. I don't know. He sells all sorts of things. And so some of the ways that corporate interests are trying to garner favor with him is they're buying the Trump family's cryptocurrency token, which I guess is a thing. They should be careful with that. They're trying to get their executives on Joe Rogan's podcast in order to, put out some messaging that they think Donald Trump will hear. I think Mark Andreessen, who's a Silicon Valley guy, is a good example of that. One of the things that he got some backlash for was his efforts in destroying the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Another example is emailing their suggestions for Doge spending cuts to Vivek Ramaswamy, which, look, that last part, that access to people close to the Trump administration or the incoming Trump administration, I don't think that's necessarily bad because from what I've gathered, that access isn't limited to corporate interests. And I think that's a good thing. Whereas try to get in touch with anybody involved with the Biden administration, really, like with any suggestion, like you're never going to hear back. That's not going to happen. Now, regarding the crypto token, cryptocurrency executive Justin Sun said on Monday that he is now the largest investor in World Liberty Financial, a crypto project backed by Trump and his family, by buying $30 million in the project. The US is becoming the blockchain hub and Bitcoin owes it to Donald Trump, wrote Sun on X. The Securities and Exchange Commission sued Sun and 3 of his companies last year for alleged securities law violation. Now, the journal also reports that lobbyists are advising companies to take out language that says anything favorable about the Democratic Party from their policies and websites. So I'll give you a few examples. One lobbyist has recently counseled clients that they need to get rid of corporate policies adopted during the Biden administration that favor one party over another, such as bans on corporate PAC donations to lawmakers who don't vote to certify the 2020 election. Yeah, I can totally see Trump retaliating toward like corporations that still have that policy on their website or something. Another strategist said he recently instructed a clean energy company to strip a section on environmental, social, and corporate governance, ESG policies from its website, and instead focus the site on issues such as job creation. Look, this to me really does emphasize that everything that corporations do, everything they do, including the woke policies, right? Including the woke campaigns, they're not doing it because they're like, this is the right thing to do. We really do love Colin Kaepernick, okay? We think about Colin Kaepernick every day. No, you don't. You're gonna make money off of this campaign. And that's exactly what happened. Nike used Colin Kaepernick in one of their commercial campaigns. And they made a killing with it. Everything they do is meant to pander to the environment and the atmosphere that we're currently in order to, increase sales, increase profits. So it's important to know that. And that's for both sides, right, Waz? Because I think Republicans miss that memo and they think like, oh no, these corporations, like they're full to the brim of like, Marxists and, like, no, that's not what's happening at all.
So it's funny because I think there's definitely in a decent amount of corporations because these blue chip companies or whatever you want to call them, a lot of them are staffed by, these hyper educated college grads who tend to be a little bit more liberal, like whatever. And so they might have the influence to be like, yeah, let's do something symbolic, like not give any contributions to any Republican who, whatever, J6 adjacent, whatever. That's
Mhm.
cool. But for the most part, man, they don't care about any of this stuff. I can remember the Great Awakening, man, where every single corporation in 2020 and parts of 2021 were just tripping over themselves to seem as if like they are, sort of part of the popular uprising that was happening around, the killing of George Floyd, where it was just like this is a Pepsi, where they had Kendall Jenner. Basically she stopped war by just pulling up to a protest or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Like,
That's
and again, like this is how these people operate and think. We shouldn't be surprised by that, right? As Mimi just doesn't care that we're doing a whole show live here. No, but like it is what it is. In terms of these bigger companies, I just think us as people, we can just understand where these folks stand and not fall for the gaff like, wow, McDonald's really cares. Or whoever really cares, they don't. All these people are self-interested. And I think
yeah.
most importantly, which shouldn't be surprising, I think most importantly, with the Trump stuff this time, I think there was an idea that Trump was a flash in the pan in 2016 and he wasn't influential and blah, 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 blah. And he got lucky in Russia and Hillary didn't go to Wisconsin and all of the crap that people came up with as excuses as to why he won. I think these corporations understand now more better is that the people who are staffing this Trump thing, the people who are in Trump's orbit, who are running the show, are going to be the people who run the show within the Republican Party going forward. And don't
Mm.
be surprised when these people leave Trump's staff to go work for a lot of these companies. Like, I don't know, like your man David Plouffe, for instance, to name a couple of Obama world people, you know what I mean, who left Obama's orbit and just went into the corporate sector. And I'm sure those kinds of people are the people who have influence on doing a sort of more woke-ish, corporate policy. It's those same people. But like, if you're a corporation, you're smart to be friending, the people in the Trump orbit because you're gonna need them going down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they're going to change their outward branding in a way and what they want to represent depending on who's in charge at any given time. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they're trying to shed what, the right would definitely refer to as their woke branding or woke policies or woke campaigns. Now, let's also talk a little bit about some of the meetings that Donald Trump has been having. So, various executives have been flocking to Trump, both through pandering in messaging, but also just meeting with him at Mar-a-Lago. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg dined with him last week. Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of the crypto exchange platform Coinbase Global, also spoke with Trump in recent days. Man, let's stop for a second and just talk about the whole crypto angle, because crypto doesn't have any real value. Like, doesn't have any real value. Like, the value is reliant on the hype. And so I am really worried about what is going to happen moving forward with crypto, because a lot of people are going to get rich. A lot of people have gotten rich through pump and dump schemes. And I'm worried about just ordinary people who get suckered into investing in various cryptocurrencies that are worth nothing, doing so because some of the content creators that they appreciate or are fans of are going to, obviously promote it, and then they promote, and then boom, once, the price of whatever crypto they're promoting goes up high enough for them, they just dump it. And so, and then there's also the other thing, which isn't necessarily tied to Trump or Republicans, but like the legalization of online gambling. That's been kind of crushing for some people who have gambling addictions. I don't know what to make of it. Like, what are your thoughts on all of that, Waz?
Yeah, I think there's two things. There's cryptocurrencies and then there's like sort of blockchain technology, which
Mm-hmm.
is some of the systems that undergird some of these technologies that I think have other actual real world applications in terms of financial transactions that I think can actually be useful. There's
Mm-hmm.
that component with stuff like XRP or whatever, right? Like this idea that we're not going to do like this kind of in a old timey way that we do electronic transactions now via our banks and stuff that can kind of be digitized to be faster, more efficient via some of these technologies, whatever. Maybe these people will undergird the digital exchange of currencies in the future. Who cares? In terms of the actual cryptocurrencies,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
it's nonsense, yo. It
Yeah.
is complete and total nonsense. It has no practical applications. I think back in the days, I went to a Bitcoin conference in 2014 where the selling point was the idea that it was digital cash, meaning you could move money privately. If I gave you $20 right now, a crisp $20 bill, Anna, and the cops stopped you and they found that they could never know that it was me who gave it to you, right? It was this idea that Bitcoin was gonna be the digital version of that. And I was like, isn't that how Uncle Sam's whole game operates? That he knows where every dollar is at all times? You think Uncle Sam won't kill and murder you fools for this? Are you out
Yeah.
of your mind? And so that's no longer what they sell it as. Now it's just kind of just sold as a commodity, like gold or something like that. Straight up.
That's exactly right. Yeah, look, Uncle Sam is always looking to collect. Like it's,
Come on.
Let the sandwich shop operate all cash. All right, let them go.
Yeah.
The margins for that little sandwich shop super low already. Like let them go. I'm just kidding. Everyone should pay their taxes. Yada yada.